down to the corner. We will have a Q&A with our poets after their readings, and we are live streaming this tonight, so I'm going to be running around the room with a mic so you can ask your question into the mic, just so people who are watching on the live stream can hear what's being asked. And with that, I'm going to invite to the stage Chen An Yuan, who is the mastermind of this whole anthology. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna have to use that more often. I'm gonna have to use that with my kids and see how long that goes for. Thank you all for coming first. This is, as Emily said, the second iteration of the Coolidge-Wagner Anthology of Recorded Poetry live reading. First, I could just give a quick blurb about the anthology series. If there are any poets in this room, especially, that what we're doing, I'm doing in partnership with the library, is basically creating an archive of recorded poetry. You can read all about it online, but if you are a poet, please reach out. We would love to record you and have you a part of this. Second, I definitely want to thank Emily, who has now gone, and then Rich and everyone who has helped record, the Bens back there, Jeff, new guy David, and then also Jackie and Tyler, and thank you all for their time in recording these. It's been a really fantastic perpetual kind of project, and it's really delightful to when we get to the number, we can have 4 poets do a live reading. So we have 4 poets today who are Owólabi Aboyade. Did I do it? All right. And then Francis Kai-Hwa Wang, Bryan Thao Worra, and Rebecca Biber. The order is going to be Bryan, then Rebecca, then Owólabi, and then Francis. To just get to it, we have Bryan. Bryan Thao, here's the bio time. You guys ready? Tell me if I'm talking too fast, because I'm a chronic mumbler. But Bryan Thao Worra is a Lao American poet who grew up in Michigan in the 1980s and 90s. He is the first Lao American to receive a fellowship in literature from the National Endowment for the Arts. From 2016 to 22, he was president of the International Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association. Breath. One of the most widely published Lao American writers in the world. He has over 20 awards for leadership and community service and presented at the 2012 London Summer Games. Did you? Wow. Smithsonian, the Library of Congress, Poets House, the Singapore Writers Festival, and more. In October 2024, he was inducted into the Saline Area Schools Hall of Fame. Everyone, please welcome Bryan Thao Worra.
Well, Sabaidi, as we say in the Lao language, and thank you all so much for coming out on a Monday here. I almost feel like Garfield the cat here in the sense of Monday. That being said, let me do a quick temperature check in the room. How many of you have ever heard a Lao poet present before? Wow, okay, that's about what I would expect here. So, without going into too much preface here, this year is particularly significant for our community in that it is the 50th anniversary since the end of the Vietnam War and by extension the other Southeast Asian conflicts in Cambodia and Laos. And as so many of us rebuild our lives after 50 years in diaspora, the question is for us, what does it mean to make the transition from a monarchy to a colony to a monarchy to a democracy? And that's not always as set a question as you may well imagine. But to that end, then, I'm going to present to you a few of the poems that were presented with the Coolidge-Wagner Anthology of Recorded Poetry. And please, let me also extend my deep thanks to the organizers and the visionaries who've made this project possible. If you ever get a chance to support them, I wholeheartedly encourage it. But this is the poem at the London 2012 Summer Games in the Year of the Dragon, entitled On a Stairway in Luang Prabang. On a stairway in Luang Prabang, step as you will through life, 1,000 ways, 1,000 places. Carry a home in your heart or spend years seeking the doors where your soul will always smile? Do you ease the way for others or just yourself? Do you climb great mountains just to leave them unchanged? One day, the heights of a holy mountain, Fusi, will lay us off valleys, and we, only memories. But our children's children, will they too have a reason to smile, like those dreaming strangers who built their stairs for us? Some of us are haiku fans, so this was the complimentary poem that goes with that. The grass. Among jade grass blades, even mighty Bodhi trees must share the same earth. It's almost spooky season, so let's go into a discussion of monsters. In America, monsters arrive through Ellis Island or Angel Island, or from the stars, or morning's rogue angels. In Asia, ghosts hop, hair long, eyes black, and young girls from Taiwan will squeal in terror at that lonely world, but laugh with disdain at Hollywood's soulless piles of pixels and latex signifying obsolete demons. Jaganyai, or heart of a big chicken. For my heart is a dinosaur, and you but a cold meteor. Fly as you will through my atmosphere, I will return in my own way. Perhaps as poultry, perhaps a gallon of diesel, some polished paperweight, or mixed in the concrete dragon in a temple for 1,000 souls who will have to return many times because they couldn't let go without regret. And finally, Democracia. Father was a tiger, ground beneath the wheels. His fat was burned to light a torch, but there's no liberty here. Only the ashes of a village that couldn't evolve, where ghost grandchildren play with ghost grandparents, and the parents are nowhere to be seen at all. Where have they gone? Where have they gone? A delay of a day for an idea. A delay of a lifetime for the dead upon the ground. Look what remains. This hut hasn't the ambition of King Ozymandias. This ox was no man's enemy. This crater was once a rice field. And what we have left to say could explode any minute. And I see I have a couple of minutes left, so we'll try a couple of new pieces. Ghosts. Uncle Bryan, aren't you ever sad it's easier for you to write about old ghosts than your own family, my niece said one day in Ceres, California. 20 years after I'd found them again, 45 years after our secret war, in a country so different, my mother doesn't recognize one single place from her old neighborhood she left decades ago we had no words for, compared to the variety of ghosts, spirits, malign and otherwise, bright and mad, who've walked here something short of one more drifting eternity among 1,000 underworlds hungry for memories. I buy her some sushi on her birthday, something called a spicy Godzilla roll, a few hours before midnight, with a pinky promise not to turn this into another poem in America. Totally not based on a true story. I suspect my dog ate my camera remote, a cheap one from that Everything Besides Good Books company. It was shortly after the new poem I wrote, following some somewhat logical thinking, well, this may be pure fantasy. She smiles, tail wagging by my note, while I gaze at her furry belly, expecting new photos to show up now, quite randomly, of her park. Strange curves, bad angles of a boat, ghosts she barks at, old loud dog memories, perhaps far superior to my own, really. At least until the important bits come out, when a poet doesn't expect it. 2 more. Witnessing. At any given moment, I have 10,000 wars in my head. Some just a memory, some less so. Some coming soon, some meant just for me. Some will be forever secret. Some were meant for only you. Some we cannot whisper of, and some we share between drinks we dare never mention, between our public histories. Some I chose because of roots. Some just needed a place to stay. Some were for a righteous cause. Some were fool's crusades. Some required a legion of strangers. Others, just a homegrown child. Beneath these vast stars aflame, I have but a few moments left for all of this. At most, 1 mere century more. Tomorrow might be very different, assuming we don't come back again if we learn our lessons. Some hard as foreign tombstones and April ash, some less so. And finally, once again, because it is almost spooky season and we have a new show apparently running around on TV that kind of gives us the sense that all of our old stories always have a way of coming back again. This one is called Sympathy for the Xenomorph. Some of you know it. To survive, adapt, but you will not recognize your children, half human. 2. Like eggs, long waiting, first come the miners, traders who hate us inside. They trample our home, everyone wants to leave. Mothers watch us burn. Just dumb animals. How they hate our food, our ways of becoming one. Nuke us from orbit, the only way to be sure. My, such charming hicks. You hate how we kiss. Bring us back your new weapons? No, let us stay here. Wake us from your sleep. Who is the true alien? Welcome to our home. I'm Bryan Thao Worra. My new book coming out is American Laudacy, not quite really from the press is yet, but later on, so keep an eye for it. But again, it's like I would really much prefer that you give a warm welcome to our next poets coming up very soon, and I believe Chen wants the privileges of giving the bios on that one, so I'm going to give it to him, but thank you.
Thank you, Bryan. That was fantastic. Yeah, one more time. Have you watched Alien Earth? That is on my, we're just gonna go off topic, so I'm just gonna stick to this. I hear it's really good. All right, so next, our second reader is Rebecca G. Biber. Okay, now the light's on. Okay, I'm doing this, hold on. Rebecca is a collaborative pianist and music teacher living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Her poetry has appeared in Cutthroat, Lilith, The Lyric, The Passion Fruit Review, The Pettigrew Review, and the forthcoming Bop Book. She was shortlisted for the 2024 Building Bridges Poetry Prize and the Northwind Writing Award and was named a winner of the Up and Tree Eco Poem Contest. Her first book, Technical Solace, was published in 2017 by Fifth Avenue Press. She holds bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Michigan School of Music and an MFA in creative writing from Queen's University of Charlotte. Welcome, Rebecca. I always said Rebecca, sorry about that.
Big thanks to Chen for organizing this whole thing, and to the library for hosting us, and to my fellow poets for being so impressive. Well, tonight is the start of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, so I thought I would start with a Rosh Hashanah poem. We make our start in fits and brittle bits. Last year, all struggle. This year, this. Begin in Tishrei, the 7th month. God ahead of us. Leaves splayed on damp paths, riot red decay. Is it a Hebrew thing, willingness to jump in amidst, match stride to the world's real turn? Or did this wish originate earlier, to measure in lunar length, toting up as a woman's body tallies months, weaknesses, and days? Times already half gone, more than, how mutable is man? Written, recorded, a 10-night span to sway, perhaps to change. Every time the trees go up in flames, we slough last year unmissed. So the Jewish New Year is a pretty thoughtful, reflective time. It's not really a wild New Year's celebration. It's a time to think back on what you could have done better in the previous year and hope for a peaceful and healthy year ahead. It also kicks off something called the 10 Days of Awe, culminating in Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. So in this serious mood, I would like to read a more political, an anti-genocide poem, actually, that I wrote exactly a year ago. It's heavy. It's called October War. I went out dancing on the eve of the new year as the students walked home from shul. East Coast swing, big band, the same fad as when I was an undergrad 2 decades ago. On the radio, Israel versus Palestine, same fight as when my boomer parents were born. For one day, I took in music only, no news, stepped out of the rancorous river, the sea of unending suffering. The privilege, the cheek it takes to be me, putting on makeup like it's fine, like it matters, blush and copper-colored eyes in the mirror, in my house, which is still standing, in the US, which is still stalling, in the West, a direction designated by the victors, to whom went all the spoils. Blame the British, it's safe, for splitting up the soil and saying, Jews here, Arabs not so fast. It's that time in the calendar when we atone for the past. My dance partner, an idealistic man with the practical sense of an immigrant's son, swung me around to the 6 count, 8 count, tried a Lindy circle, encouraged my shimmy. I never wanted to step away. Earlier, he'd bent his head for the barber. 100 fine hairs fell, soft signals of loss without pain. Remember this, 1 year ago, evil blared its hellish trumpets and limitless revenge answered back. I can't explain how to witness that and find prayer relevant. I can put 1 foot behind me in a rock step, pretend it's not happening. Our Father, our King, some childlike memory. I can turn again to the BBC, NPR, NBC, hear their phrases, keep a beat with my hand on my thigh to each chorus, bomb, escalation, Market Street. My partner spun from sheer exuberance. Watch how olive trees stoop to tend their own grave. I'd like to take a breath, take a breather, and I'll read you a couple of lighter poems now. And I'd also like to mention my book, Technical Solace, as Chen-An mentioned, was published in 2017 by Fifth Avenue Press. And if you're not familiar, Fifth Avenue is our very own library's literary imprint with a focus on publishing Michigan authors. So I'm so thankful to everyone there for making my book a reality. These poems are about becoming a musician, training up. So they're early and close to my heart. This one is called Pied Piper. It took me a while to catch on. NB meant no breath, not nota bene. Eighth notes should flow uphill as though charmed. It took me until reading age to see mark my words in folk tales and not hear mock, the way characters talked on stage, on screen, ye olden accent. Commit to memory, note well. I began playing the flute because of a man in tricorn hat on TV. My college vibrato stopped at the hasp door of intimidation, last chair. In every story, there's the clever part and the brave. The smart hero can remember, unclasp the code, discern the trail, know your motivic sequence from your phrase. The brave, daring do, would throw the precious object, smite the king, run toward, not away from, flames. Sit down at the banquet of 100 choices and not choose. Touch nothing. It took me all the tales until right now. Don't breathe. Don't clip that thread of make-believe. If you are clever and brave enough, mock my words, you will succeed. And I'll read the title poem, Technical Solace, which depicts piano practice. It was years before the scales became like old jeans. The ease snuck up on me. Then there it was, keeping me meditative in the afternoon. Sharps made seams in smooth cloth, flicked my fingers up and back. Those edges led to Mozart, the iffy sun. Arpeggios arrived after, an unexpected second child, so squally I'd give up, surprised any time docility spread a smile. Tantrums made me run outside, away from the crying. But I always came back. Keys are my landscape, cool, barefoot, petals like stones. Well, if you are enjoying what you're hearing here or what you might have heard in the Coolidge-Wagner recording, my book is available for circulation through the library. And if you'd like to pick up your own copy, please just contact me directly. That's the best way. Thank you for indulging that plug. All right. Enough of the fluff, back to the protest poems. This will be my last one. I wrote this poem in 2018, and unfortunately, it's still relevant, or relevant again. It's a pro-immigration, anti-ICE piece. And I opened it with a quotation from the New York Times, which is as follows. Top administration officials have continued to defend their practice of breaking up families who arrive at the border in the face of bipartisan outcry, criticism from the United Nations, and a lawsuit. So that's the New York Times article from 2018. The poem itself is called Disturbing the Nest, and it briefly references my family's immigration story and a couple of Bible stories. Disturbing the Nest. The dove didn't ask for this. Lifting susurration, rake rattled from the arborvitae's stern arms. I thought I was clearing dead branches. My startled, oh, leaped across fences. It was the day after border guards, those blunt human batons we thank with disavowal. Left alone, at last, the breastfed babe, and pen strokes slowed what policy had set going. Domestic debate, who was here when, without regard to fear, luck, the blind ways they point us, mechanics of life and loft, how violence inspires flight. The evergreen loosed its arrow, beak and cry. I retreated to my house, my time, almost 4 decades on earth, like square posts driven into ground, family kept under America's canopy after our suffering was deemed enough, and there weren't too many of us. It always struck me the mourning dove was not the dove of peace, not the white one captured on stamps and released at weddings, but a sweet gray cantor, calm and lean even after a feast. Mine, I mistakenly shoved off her rest, an Old Testament bird. She returned my tree her Ararat. Did Noah decide whom to let board, counted as adult or child? Sit himself a one-man style on the gangway, heat rising, water enclosing, full of bile, keeping tally? Who was sinful or celibate, treated as freight or chattel? Who frightened, who choosing, which kinds were kin, what holidays and births passed in the fact of waiting? Before she came back, I stood outside with the tree alone, nervous as the eve of decisions, shaky hands braiding air. There's a shushing hum and smell of juniper like the top of the sukkah we made our home last fall, holding fruit toward the pale sky, sieved through a grid of twigs, waving fronds at cardinal directions to signify the vast refuge we can't see, hoping it will both lift and contain us, allow our precarious singing. Let us live in the place where we land this time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was awesome. And that is also why I don't write poetry, because it would just be like, trees are awesome. The poets are awesome. That would be it. It'd be like 5 volumes of that. One more time, Rebecca Biber. Thank you. Next up, we have Owólabi Aboyade. Owólabi is a multidimensional father, essayist, poet, critic, hip-hop artist, moniker Will See Music. From Detroit, his poetry chapbook, Lee Young Lee, which is right over there for sale afterwards. Whoa, lost my spot. Hold up. There we go. Was published by Awe Society Press in 2024, working with his partner, sculptor and indie publisher Bridget Quinn. Hi, Bridget. He is text editor of Bullet Train, a magazine chronicling Detroit's revolutionary culture and making meaning, a zine for people with chronic illness. He's currently working on Collapse, collected essays about grief, culture, and family in gentrifying Detroit. Everyone, please welcome Owólabi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the Ann Arbor Library. Thank you, Chin, for bringing us all together. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to be here and to enjoy and listen to poetry. I'm a little nervous, but I hope you forgive me. Oh yeah, this book, Lee Young Lee. It may be a trigger warning. The book was written in honor of my brother who died by suicide. And I come from a family in which, even as he passed, I believe in 1997, it's really only been the last 2 years that we really talked about him as a family. And so these poems came out. And so the first poems are going to be from the book. And then I have 2 newer poems that kind of approach the topic of mourning in different ways. Oh, let me do a temperature check. How many people have heard a Detroit poet before? All right, we're at about 45%. Now you'll all be with it. Little brother, 1. I came home to find young Lee taller and bigger than me. I came home to find him still on the carpet bloody upstairs. I came home to Detroit, the city, a bullet in my brain. Is the blood, the ground open, book, the dropped awkward, the angle. 2. When my brother comes to meet me in our dreaming, we fling our fists into each other. I wake up to pain, the pain all over. The next poem is my self-portrait. Was there something else I was going to say? My self-portrait. No, not right now. My self-portrait, written after Adam Zagorski. I live in a decaying city and sometimes talk with strangers of resurrections and other strange matters. Half my day passes. I see 3 elements in music: rhythm, silence, and shame. The 4th is too painful to record. I listen to lyricists and read poets who teach me how to clap back and win. I yearn to chat with great philosophers, to follow a burning idea passing from hand to hand. Flyers, websites, photography, unexpected, the open note floating back over the ocean. Maybe I will see half a century. I like deep sleep when my broken body ceases and leisurely walks through the neighborhood with a young, gentle pit bull by my side. Sometimes in museums, the ancestors whisper to me, cooling waters pouring over pains, ashe. I love talking with my wife. Beside me, buildings crumble or smile, or both, a variation of perfection. Black boys race up the street like fast cars or shooting stars. Am I still young? Someone else is always younger. My father emails me regular updates, his anti-corporate philosophies, the metaphysics of infidelity. This country once freed its unpaid laborers, I wish. 1,000 liberations to follow. How can I help in this? I'm neither an invisible man nor a black boy. Not a tough guy, as others have written before me, just a being of light and spit. And yes, I am learning the ways of those who blaze and bloom below the surface. Their struggles, like this life, belong to all of us. I'm very excited to be here at this moment Bridget Quinn is my very talented partner who designed this book with All Society Press, and we just got our second our second printing in the mail. And so this is like the first event, the first thing that I've done where I actually have books again in my hand. And so I'm very excited to share Lee Young Lee throughout Detroit and Metro Detroit and with all of you as well. This next poem perhaps is the most intense poem of the book, but it's one that I remember when I wrote it, I was very proud how it came together. What the Bullet Said. Lee put a gun to his head upstairs. I don't know what the bullet said. Never say my brother's name to strangers. What did he hear when he pulled the trigger? Doesn't know what the bullet said. Was it my father's voice, the family will? Did he hear when he pulled the trigger his mother's Southern song without ceasing? Was it the family's will, a father's bullet? Never saw cry when buried his brothers, in mother's Southern song without ceasing. The brotherhood of soldiers, oldest marching furthest. Never saw cry when I buried my brother in soil so cold, limbs shatter approaching the brotherhood of soldiers, bullet marching forward. Some moments ink on a page, sealed and folded. In this bullet so cold, limbs shatter when approaching our name, a bullet I never give to strangers. Some bullets ink on a page folded and sealed. Lee put a bullet to his head upstairs. This poetry book is named, my brother's name was Lee, and this poetry was named after the amazing classical, beautiful poet Lee Young Lee, who in reading his poetry, it really taught me a lot about vulnerability and masculinity and things that I was looking for. And so since my brother's name was Lee, and he passed when he was young, just happened to work. I have two more poems. These are not in the book. These were written more recently. Anybody know about the late, great Jay Dilla? Make some noise. All right. I begin with a quote from poet Joel Fluent Green. He said, "Dilla hit black Detroiter chakras we ain't know we had." When he said, "Bump this." My brother told y'all one day he would dance to his own drum. He said, "Bump college, I'll bring rhythm and lyric, bouncing intricacies of Detroit." Lee dreamed of driving east, handling his diploma and heading towards the bright lights. Our sister told me about that one time our father beat him like men do, like a drum roll. We don't remember Jay Dilla just for how he listened with his fingers on his drum machine. Yes, the man turned pianos into drums, gospel praise into intoxicated strip club swagger, sampled Papa's funky drum punches until they blended to light. He learned this magic in Amp Fiddler's basement in the Conant Garden of Detroit. Funkadelic taught Amp, play your role. Before them, James Brown. Before them, Lil Richard, Southern folk working, banging rocks and rolls. Bump this, he said to the DJ, lyrics and rhythm, intimacies of Detroit. Imagine 45-year-old Lee flipping up his buffs, playing his CDs for the young neighborhood stars. Our sister told me about that one time our father beat him like some fathers do, like a drum roll before the big announcement. Whatever we heard, Lee would have the last word. The ways we teach each other we learned from watching our questions rise, watching parents play their village role. What did James Yancey's folk hear when they brought him to the choir, gave him keys and drum? He would sit in 80s basements searching dusty records, hidden grooves, while his friends flew down the streets of Detroit. He was lost in the lyrics and rhythms of etheric realms. Adults thought him quiet and polite. Imagine Lee at 45, flipping up his Cartier frames, spinning his stories of nightlife with Dilla. We really can't believe you did that, damn. However, wherever we gather, Lee will get the last word. What name would we have given to my son if his uncle were a light to sing about it? We swing to our mother's drum beats before our eyes call forth light. She survived dancing different beats as we gestate, grow, swirl, belly roll. What did you conjure when you turned that black box of buttons and circuits into the village drum? Say it with me before they try to box our fat lips. Detroit, Detroit, da-da-da-da. There's a place we call Conan Gardens, East Mac, Nick, Detroit. We really can't believe you did that. Damn, bam. Brother Lee tried to catch the bullet in his teeth, cheeks swollen like a trumpeter beating a drum for the first and last time. What names would we have given my brother if his brother were a brother to brother him one more time? He became our action hero in this musical flick we could only bear to hear once. Broken, beat up, funky, fucked up. How they belittled our Detroit, its buildings, its children, Detroiters. You see, Dilla took all that noise and added our claps beneath it, saying to the fly and the nerds, so we finally refused white flights. Remember how we stood crowded before the DJ's altar, flicking our lifted hand Flynn style, our wrists rhythm like Detroit's drummer roll? Our cheeks roll upward with grimace, heads nod vigorous, makes you want to slap your mama, lingo slang forgetful and sweat, tap that ass, jiggle your rolls. These actions, heroic in this fucked up masculine musical we once learned to sing along to, hear the displaced echoes. We laughed at brother son's dreams of grieving far from our diploma daydreams, so he fled to the bright light. My brother tried to catch the bullet in his teeth, cheeks swollen mad like Miles playing the downbeat, like many men do for the first or the next time. Brother told y'all he would only dance to his own drum. This Detroit drum, brother's fast finger sensitivity rolled us up from clear to prayer. May this lyric and rhythm light the way back home for brothers who heard and remember the mother's beat. Those who smell the beats, funk and bounce, bullet barrage breaking in our sick skulls. Detroit has a big, long legacy of surrealist poetry, poets, and shit like that. And I have a series of poems that I call Detroit Dream World. And I'm just trying to audition for the Detroit surrealist team. It's fucking high standard, man. It's crazy. So I keep writing the same poem with the same title in hopes that, one day. Detroit Dream World. When my hands are trembling, my words unmoored, when my runaway thoughts pass, too quick for mine to catch them, can you blame them? They are looking for freedom in this land of melted honey. When my heart skips beats, swings cardiac sideways out of time like Dilla donut instrumentals. When my hair grays 10 shades lighter as I stand beneath the glory, the presence of magnificent elders. When the nurses deliver solutions and doctors pass out diagnoses like traumatized Africans to disability checks. I'm just halfway there, my 80th year, my crown and kingdom, the pouring forth of bounty, the magnificent soil. The family arrived when I was 2. We may have lost our traditional drawl, but between our roots, among our roots, underneath these roots, who will eulogize me proper and anoint my head with oils? Who will throw dirt on my body? Who will know my middle name? Who will drum for my descendants? Who will sing me at my altars? Let me spark their new mutation. Who will plant me at the river? Who will watch my elevation as I soar past the horizon? Who will be a true Wakanda? Who will hold this love forever? Who will journey to the city at the end of our forever and enjoy all of its darkness that we won't survive completely? Who will meet me at this city, which is brilliant in its blackness and unyielding like the river, like our aging and our hearts. Thank y'all for being with us tonight.
Owólabi Aboyade, thank you. Where did the bios go? Did someone take the bios? Oh, my buddy Francis. That's all I. Oh wait, you got it. Okay, great. I can riff, but it would just go. It would go off ramp. I do want to again before to give a quick shout out about Francis and Owólabi's books over there. Bridget is who designed and published the Awe Society book. Please check out Awe Society and all the great work she is doing. The books are all beautiful. Carmen is going to be coming up next time? I think so. Can't count. Okay. Thank you again, Owólabi. Finally, last but not least, we have Francis Kai-Hwa Wang. Francis is a poet, essayist, journalist, and scholar focused on issues of Asian America, race, justice, and the arts. The child of immigrants, she has worked in philosophy, journalism, ethnic new media, anthropology, international development, nonprofits, and small business startups. Breath. Wait. Yes, she has written 3 chapbooks and a book of prose poetry, You Cannot Resist Me When My Hair is in Braids, which is on that little table over there, which was published by Wayne State University Press in 2022. Everyone, please welcome Francis.
Okay, let me get arranged here. Hello, hello. Hey. Thank you, Ann Arbor Library. We love Ann Arbor Library. And one of the fun parts about reading in Ann Arbor is I have all these poems about Ann Arbor, and so you know what's happening here. So I will start with, this is my first chapbook. It's called Imaginary Affairs, Postcards from an Imagined Life, and it's filled with Ann Arbor stories. We'll start with the dinner party. I'm having a dreadful dinner party. Wish you could come. Pompous bores from the university, skinny rich white ladies in pearls, idiot lawyers, tiresome engineers, all the important people I don't like, but am obliged to. I'm cooking all my super spectacular show-stopping signature specialties with sesame, the ones I can't even stand to taste anymore. No paper plates for this one. It's the gold-rimmed china, the cut crystal glasses, the fancy Japanese chopsticks. I'm even cleaning the house like I never do for Chinese New Year's. But really, I'd much rather just lean over the back porch railing with you, a smuggled bottle of Chianti between us, no need for cups among friends. Quiet bitching about all the inflated egos and stunted social skills inside, tender teasing, and of course, a punch in the arm when you invariably go too far. Remember when we were kids and we used to slip out the back door to escape Auntie Ling's world-famous stinky tofu? I can still see you, resplendent in your satin turquoise cape, so much more glamorous than my paisley orange cape with matching orange headband. We would fly out the back gate, up into the sunburnt hills behind Auntie Ling's house to our secret hideout behind the eucalyptus trees. There you would stand on a rock giving speeches while I would fight off enemy marauders with the secret kung fu moves stolen from behind the curtain as my gong practiced every morning. We made up elaborate shows that we rehearsed over and over, but never actually performed for anyone. Hey, why was I always the dog? Mostly we laughed and laughed in the tall, dry grass until the sun turned red and we heard the grown-ups calling, "Xiao Mao, Xiao Hua." How I would love to be able to hop over the back porch railing with you, slip barefoot over slip barefoot down the grassy slope to the creek below, clamber over boulders and stones, laughing and splashing in the dark, and then see you once again standing tall on a rock, a bottle of wine in one hand, the full moon's light like a spotlight as you sing some wacky Chinglish song just for me at the top of your lungs. I can almost see your satin turquoise cape still fluttering behind you in the breeze. I can even see our giggling and contrite return to the party. Everyone so busy with their "what do you do? Where do you work?" ways of defining themselves that no one even noticed that I'd slipped off into the past to who I once was. A trail of wet footprints on the tile, the only clue. Thank you. I always feel so guilty at poetry reading because you're supposed to snap when someone says something that resonates with you, but I cannot for the life of me snap my fingers. I've been trying my whole life and I just can't do it. But so thank you, I appreciate it. And this story takes place at Eastern Accents, which used to be right there on 4th. Academic love affair. 2 Asian American girlfriends sit at the window of Eastern Accents, discussing their latest loves over laptops and lattes. One friend squeals with delight while showing off the latest email from him, knocking over the small pile of lit books precariously perched on the round table while spinning her laptop back around. The other one adjusts her academic-y black-rimmed glasses skeptically. This is the nerdiest love affair I ever heard of. You know, normal people send each other flowers. You two send each other your essays. An Ann Arbor classic, if ever there was. All right. So, what time is it? Okay. Let's go. This is my book. You Cannot Resist Me When My Hair is in Braids, Wayne State Press, where I'm on the board of the Wayne State Press Made in Michigan Writers Series. So if you have a poetry book or a literary nonfiction book or a fiction book, send it to us. We're looking for stories by people in Michigan. And again, it's great because when you're reading these books, you're like, oh, I know that street. I know that intersection, and it's really fun. So anyways, that was the wrong segue at the wrong time. I wanted to read, this is called Dreams of the Diaspora, which I wrote for the Smithsonian. They put out a call for art about the H-1B visa. Now, the Smithsonian never puts out calls for anything, because they're the Smithsonian, or they used to be. But they realized that they didn't have any art about the H-1B visa. So they put out this call, and I entered with a friend of mine, and somehow we got in. But unfortunately, the H-1B visa is in the news again, if you heard. Just this weekend, I heard about a plane in San Francisco that was delayed for 3 hours while a plane load of people who were going to India to visit their family and friends were getting these frantic calls from their employers to say, do not leave the country. And people abroad are being told, make sure you get back into the country before the 21st, which was yesterday. So anyways, it's been chaos all weekend over the H-1B visa. So here we go. And this, we put it together I wrote it together with the photographer Jyotiomi Chaudhary, and we created a video of it, which you can find online in the Smithsonian. It was really fun. So anyways, amused by my earnestness, you ask, does the diaspora dream? Of course the diaspora dreams, many dreams, full of hunger and longing, lingering and remembering, trying to recapture what never was, as time keeps moving us farther and farther away from home. But those are not really dreams, are they, you say? Those are longing, remembering, hunger, and dissolution. Dreams are inherently about the future, not about the past. So the diaspora does not dream, but yearns to dream. I was born in the slipstream of the diaspora. The diaspora is my home. I have no memories of playing back alley cricket. My father is the one who walked barefoot to school with his shoes around his neck, not I. I know the stories of Brer Rabbit as well as I do the Mahabharata. I love a good cup of chai in the morning mist, but I can never get the spices quite right, so I'm relegated to the prepackaged chai at my neighborhood Sweetwater's Cafe. But I know, wherever I am in the world, I can approach certain strangers, my hands to my forehead, auntie, uncle, grandmother, and find safe haven and a good meal. The cute Daisy boy at the market slips me a tiny sample of pickle that his mother made and mailed to him. You do not understand. You have an answer when people ask, "Where are you from?" No, where are you really from? I was born here, but I feel so far from home. My family keeps marching forward, very clear on what they want: a safe home, a stable job, good schools, enough money to provide for both the older and younger generations. They have enough of war and poverty. They pay their taxes and laugh at my youth when I talk of justice and fair representation. Yet they know all the rules and regulations and shortcuts and loopholes for visas, green cards, naturalization. Even grandmother is studying her phonetic cheat sheet to pass the U.S. citizenship exam in a language she does not speak. They tell me I can even be president one day because I am a natural-born citizen. I am the dream of the diaspora, but I am lost. You take my hand in yours and you say, "You do not appreciate how much that blue passport you were born into protects you, how much the fairness of your skin insulates you. I walked across so many countries and studied hard for so many years to reach this place. Finally, New York City, university, graduate school, work, more work. The lady in the harbor called out to me. Then those planes fell out of the sky and she looked away. I also see aunties and uncles and grandmothers at the airport being pulled off planes, yards of sari and turban fabric unwound onto the floor. I watch as friends laugh along nervously with their bosses and coworkers' terrorist jokes, dare not speak out for fear of losing their H-1B. I go to birthday parties and picnics in the park that are interrupted by the FBI responding to reports of suspicious activity. They check our chicken biryani for explosives. I register my name and address so they can find me if they need to arrest me. Restless, curious, wandering, I walk the crowded cities and open landscapes of the world, searching for meaning and a place to call home. And instead, I find you. Walking with you, I find myself. Walking with you, I feel a little less lost. Walking with you, I begin to dream my own dreams. Thank you. And if you get the book, you can see the photographs of by Jyoti Omi Chaudhary, which are beautiful. Okay, time. Okay. I want to read a new poem to bring it. I mean, it's weird how much of that is like present. I wrote that many years ago. So I want to read a new, well, it's an old and new poem. It's called Crying on Airplanes. I actually wrote it, was it 2016? It was that day, no, 2018. It was that day that ProPublica released those audio recordings of the children being separated from their families at the southern border. And I happened to be on an airplane on my way to Minneapolis to do a poetry reading with Bryan Thao Worra. And I was like, and all, my feed, my socials were, all my friends were listening, hearing this recording on their way to work. They were pulling over to the side of the road and just crying. And I was on my way to poetry reading. I'm like, well, we can't not say anything. We have to say something. So I wrote it that day and on the plane. And then recently, Chen says, you should write part 2. So thanks to Chen and Rian, I've written part 2. So it comes in, so just realize part 1 was written a while ago, and then part 2 comes later. Whenever I hear children crying on airplanes, I always laugh. Been there, done that. Ain't got to worry about that no more. Not that my kids ever cried on an airplane. I laugh because I don't have to carry 2 changes of clothing in case they throw up on me. Twice. I don't have to walk laps up and down the aisle with restless toddlers. I don't have to carry extra sweaters, blankets, clothes, snacks, books, games, toys, videos, headphones, batteries, socks. I don't have to try to sleep with little feet in my ears and elbows in my boob. I don't have to carefully pack and double check all the children's suitcases and carry-on so that someone doesn't try to sneak on her triathlon medal in order to test TSA's metal detectors. I'm done. But since that summer, ProPublica released those audio recordings of children crying after being separated from their parents at the border, when I hear little voices crying on airplanes, all I can think about are the cries of those 5,500 little kids ripped from their parents' arms and shipped on cold metal airplanes across the country to literally who knows where. Cold air blowing on top of their heads as they fasten their seatbelts and return their tray tables to the upright position. When all their parents wanted was what every parent wants: asylum, safety, freedom. And here I am, worrying about my 18-year-old daughter sitting alone a few rows behind me. And I'm done. That was 2018. Today it is 2025, and I tell my children to stay away from airports. Do not leave the country. Do not get on a plane, especially a Boeing. Do not go anywhere without a photocopy of your passport. Do not open the doors to strangers unless they have a search warrant signed by a judge. Do not unlock your phone in front of law enforcement. If approached or kidnapped by strange masked men, don't be polite. Shout as loudly as you can, "I am a U.S. citizen," and shout your name and shout for help. Repeat. Hopefully, someone nearby will video record you, and I will be able to find you again. I worry about my feisty 84-year-old mother accidentally getting into a fight with ICE and getting herself denaturalized. She's been here since 1964. She's been a U.S. citizen longer than those ICE agents have even been alive. My children and I are natural-born citizens. We have a gold star on our driver's licenses. We all have English first names. My children are actually descended from someone on the Mayflower. But in the warmth of the summer sun, they are also unmistakably brown. I used to teach Asian American history as something that happened a long, long time ago, before people knew better, before people knew who we were. I thought the key was learning history and learning the parameters of our rights. But our rights are only as good as our ability to file a lawsuit and have someone enforce the law. What separates us from the tourists, workers, international students, asylum seekers, refugees, temporary protected status holders, intercountry adoptees, permanent residents, U.S. citizens, U.S. veterans, mothers, fathers, even children with brain tumors who are being detained and deported and disappeared to who knows where? What separates us from the people doing the terrorizing? Our taxes are paying for this, both at home and abroad. More than 50,000 children in Gaza have been killed or injured since October 2023, including U.S. citizen children. How many more children killed in Iran, Syria, Yemen, Ukraine, Somalia, Sudan, Myanmar? I watch a video of a young Palestinian boy, about 7 or 8, who cries that he wishes that he had died with the rest of his family because now he is alone. Now I am an orphan. The word catches in his throat, and I'm done. Thank you. I cannot leave you there, so I will end with the title piece, You Cannot Resist Me When My Hair is in Braids, that takes place at Sweetwater's Cafe right down the street over here, owned by my good friends Wei and Lisa B. Sitting in Sweetwater's Cafe in the afternoon with a pot of Earl Grey tea, trying to write, trying to put off looking for a day job, trying to figure out how to construct a new beginning out of all this financial ruin, all the while watching the cute boys walk past my window on this cold gray day, wishing for some handsome young professor to walk in and flirt with me for a bit. I've got my hair in braids today. You cannot resist me when my hair is in braids. Thank you, everyone. And thanks to Chen for being the mastermind.
Do we have time for? No, I don't. Do we? One question. Okay. Real quick, first, I want to thank all 4 poets. That was, if you know me, you know that one of my big, like in this moment, in our social political history, I don't know about you all, but it's a struggle on a daily basis to maintain. And, I don't believe that art can stop wars, but art is a saving grace. Art is what can help us process and be the lens for us to survive. And the poems we heard today about ran the whole spectrum, I think, of human experience. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness and be a part of. So thank you to Bryan, Rebecca, Owólabi, Francis, for sharing their art with us. Thank you all for coming. Thank you again to Emily for hosting. We do have time for one question. Who's got a good question? A good question, yeah. A greatest hits question?
Pressure.
Yeah, it is too high pressure. We can start with questions about, for any of the artists, yeah, if they're, or you could just buy books. That's what you could also do. Support the arts. Anybody? Yes, Anne, yeah.
So Chen, could you give us some background on the named people for whom this anthology is honoring, and also how many poems or poets you have currently anthologized, and what you expect the future of it to be?
Yes, I totally forgot to mention. The Coolidge-Wagner, it's named after 2 of my teachers from high school, Miss Coolidge, who was my English teacher, and Mr. Wagner, who was my physics teacher. And both of them within high school, let's just say, I did not like high school. You can even look it up. There's a Zoom that was on Detroit PBS, like talking to my friend about how much I didn't love high school. So there's like video evidence. But these 2 teachers really showed the path of where creativity and being focused on the process and thinking deeply about art and thinking very deeply. They engaged with me in a way as a young person that truly like showed a path. And one thing that I think for all, okay, announcement, interrupt my spiel. But The whole project is dedicated to teachers and educators and people who reach out to you, and they can see that you have promise, even though you don't. At that point, you may not see it in yourself. And when they do, and they recognize that, and they'll talk to you in a very straightforward way that at the time just seems like you're just kind of chatting, and then years later you realize not everybody does that. And not everybody, there's some teachers who never see you, but the teachers who truly see you and will talk to you at their level, it's a magical thing. And I think everybody probably, hopefully, has a teacher in their life that they can think back on. And I hope that they have had as much impact and are honored in the same way. Actually, and one of my deep regrets is when we got the green light, I found out that Mr. Wagner had passed 2 years ago, and I was so excited to reach out to him. So, point of that being, if you have a teacher in your life, if you have a teacher who inspired you that maybe you haven't talked to in a number of years, I would very much encourage you, from my own personal experience, to reach out to them and let them know, because it does matter. You know, you may think they have had hundreds or thousands of students and they don't know if they'll remember you, but they will. And it's just being able to reconnect with Miss Coolidge has been fantastic. What was the second part of the question? Was that it? Oh, how many poets? Right now, I think we're 15 and counting. We're releasing them on a monthly basis. Again, are there any other poets in here? Yes. Send the poets. We really want this to be a living, breathing archive and a perpetual piece of public art that the public can engage with. Is there one question for one of the poets, maybe? The library's closing in 10 minutes, so we gotta go. Please, there are 2 bags of Canada-only potato chips that I would highly recommend you try. They're delightful. They're Lay's. There's one's masala and honey butter. And please support the poets, buy their books, or talk to Rebecca and find a copy of her book. Thank you all again, and thank you to the library. Thank you all the Ben staff. Oh, don't forget your mic, Brian. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah.